All right. Now let's look at the specific indicators.
Yes.
Inflation rate,
Right.
Of course, trending downwards,
Yes.
and oil prices rising. External reserve seem to be quite stable. How cheering is this?
Well, without sounding too pessimistic or painting a picture that makes people's hearts to palpitate, the reality of those numbers is that when you look at the inflation rate, yes, it is trending downwards. But when you break it down into the components, you find that the food index is still a big number in there. And the food index has been trending upwards in recent times, which means the real gain in the inflation rate trending downwards is not sustainable in that direction. So we therefore expect that there is likely to be an upturn. And this is not also unconnected to the fact that harvest from the farms this year is unlikely to match what we had in 2017 for obvious reasons. You know, the herdsman farmers clash, which is affecting mostly what we traditionally refer to as the food basket of Nigeria, that's the middle belt. So if not much is coming out of that in terms of food produce, then it means it will affect what we produce locally, which also ultimately will affect food inflation, which now fits back into why we expect inflation rate to begin to trend upwards. Now that's on inflation. Now when you come to external reserves, yes, it looks good, because if you check what we had at the present moment, about 47 billion US dollars. If you work that against our import bill, that will give you about 17.1 months of import bills, which means if we don't sell anything to the rest of the world, we have enough in the pocket to pay for import bills for 17 months. But by the time you bring in the foreign portfolio investors who are likely to move their funds out, if we create so much heat in the polity, that gives you about 42%. So if you take 42% of external reserves, that especially of the liquid portion of it, that leaves you with roughly 58% that you can play with. 58% of $47 billion is not insignificant also when you compare to your external debt as well, especially the servicing part, which of course has been well managed. So ultimately, you then look across what is happening in other emerging markets, and we can learn our lessons from Argentina. First half of this year, Argentina was in the same comfortable position with Nigeria in terms of external reserves. But all of this melted in a matter of 6 weeks. Why? Because suddenly Argentina tipped into, currency crisis. So which can happen to any country if you don't manage investor confidence effectively. So and that is the warning we are sounding now. It looks good on paper. In terms of interpretation, it looks good, but it also carries some measure of risk. So, and of course, we've done well in terms of managing the exchange value of the naira. Officially, it's stable, quite all right. Even when you look at the alternative market, rates there also stable. When you look at the premium also, it's not out of this world. So it is still fairly comfortable. Yes, people complain about the fact that, CBN is using our external reserves to defend the naira. We interpret it differently. Because any central bank anywhere in the world, that is one of its primary responsibility, to protect the exchange value of the domestic currency. And that is apart from inflation targeting.
Now, but with the imports now on the rise,
that's
kind
right.
of, and that is shown in your recent report.
That's
now,
right.
Wouldn't that bring down the external reserve?
By all means, it should actually reduce the external reserves. But when you look at the relationship between imports and exports, we are exporting more hydrocarbons. Production is steady, export is steady, and the price is favorable as well, very high up. So in which case, what we earn from selling hydrocarbons, and that is why we flagged that, which is simply to say that, yes, we came out of recession, no doubt. The oil market did that for us. We've also been growing steadily in the last 5 quarters. Again, references to the oil sector. So if anything doesn't happen adversely in the oil sector, the economy is still in good stead.
Well, we have seen the oil price in the international markets, on the rise now.
That's right.
Yeah, what should be the position of the government? What should the government be doing at this time that we have the global oil price, the upward trend?
Really, the sensible thing to do, I would say, is not to look at the rising oil prices as an opportunity for surplus. that should allow us also spend the way we have done historically, but rather look at making very good use of that money, and more importantly, have a threshold set at which every extra on top of that threshold is committed to savings. And that is the only way to go. Savings is what will bail you out when crisis comes. So and this is an opportunity to save, in spite of the fact that, yes, we need to also spend, as we said, but there has to be a balance in that.
Now, what is your assessment of the monetary policy environment so far?
Well, the monetary policy environment so far, I would say that a lot of what fiscal policy and commercial policy should be doing is what monetary policy has been doing for this economy. In fact, I will give most of the credit for where the economy is today to what monetary policy has been doing. Because beyond the primary role of the central bank, it has also got involved in a lot of intervention schemes relating to different sectors, agriculture, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. So if those interventions were not there, it now became an appendage to monetary policy. Ordinarily, we shouldn't be seeing an economy that is even stable at the level where we are as of today. So now, coming to the core issue in monetary policy, and that's the policy rate, which has been at 14% for quite a while now. Now, CBN has very good reasons, looking at all these issues we are talking about, to keep that rate there. It's always a challenge. You want to look at the side of foreign investors. If they leave because of the political tension, how do you get more money in? So and they will be thinking about raising that rate in order to make those instruments more attractive. But on the other hand, if you raise the rate, that also has implications for the credit market. Because it makes credits more expensive. So if credit becomes more expensive, it means that people will not borrow, some will run away. Those who are in their stock will have to pay more. And so it becomes a bigger challenge.
All right.
So that is what CBN is struggling with right now.
All right, Dr. Adedipe, just before I let you go,
Yes.
what's the outlook for the second half of the year? Any silver lining?
Well, as we said in our review and the outlook, what we see right now is a dampening of what is projected as the growth rate for this economy for this year. At the beginning of the year, when we did the outlook, we're looking at about 2.5 to 2.65% growth of the GDP. But we have had to revise that downwards now to less than 2% in the light of what is happening and the fact that the growth rate first quarter also trended towards the trend line.
All right.
So for us, therefore, we see an economy that is still struggling to work.
And let's hope it works. Let's hope it works. Thank you very much, Dr. Adedipe, for your time. Dr. Adedipe is the Chief Consultant, B. Adedipe Associates. When we come back, we take another peep into the equities market as the midweek trading kicks off.